All right, welcome back to Real Estate Without Borders. And this episode, we've swapped out Daniel for beautiful Sam Gordon, who, in my opinion, is one of the coolest and best developers in Tulum, may I say. Great guy, personal friend. It's cool to see what he's done here in Tulum. And I think what we're going to do on today's episode is just take you through investing in Tulum, who's investing here, why to invest here, what to invest in here, and you're going to get it from someone that's actually put a lot of time and a lot of money into Mexico. And
Totally.
we'll just kind of How long have you been living in Tulum now? Well, introduce yourself first of all. Who are you, Sam? Give people who.
Okay, I'm Sam Gordon. I've been in Tulum around 9 years, coming up to 9 years. Feels like it's been 9 years for a long time, so as some people comment. But I am the developer, founder of Khan Tulum. Khan Tulum is a 42-unit project, which is very well known in Tulum as a wellness kind of condo hotel style, very good restaurant. And I'm moving into many other projects at the same time. So that's basically what I do here. I do a lot of community work, and I've seen this place grow from 6,000 people up to 65,000 people now, and the progress going up to 300,000 by the end of 2030. We've got a lot of work to do. Yeah, so I feel like a bit of an OG here. I've been here and seen many people come and go, but now I've kind of stuck around.
That's cool. For those of you that I'll give Sam a plug. If you're coming to Tulum to visit, I highly recommend checking out Can Hotel. It is like all my videos that get the most views are because I go to Can and check it out. It's like one of the most architecturally beautiful buildings in Tulum. And I think we won't dive into it too much because I know you'll talk for 4 hours about it. Sam is big into sustainability. And I think a lot of the feedback that I get when I post about Tulum, which I'm already off script, but me and Sam would never stay on script here. One of the things that the feedback and the pushback I get from investors in Tulum is like, the not taking care of the jungle or maybe not like being as sustainable as we could be or environmentally friendly, but his Instagram handle is Sustainable Sam. So cares about the environment, builds with that in his mind, which is really, really cool and very unique. But let's jump into this. I want to start by talking about this Bloomberg video, because I know that everyone that's watching this has seen this Bloomberg video. There's a Bloomberg video that went around and I got sent it by like literally every single client I have, and probably you too. Basically, it's a video of a female who said, two things happened that I want to cover with a conversation with you. One, she bought a project and it didn't finish. And two, she's just not seeing the ROI on the short-term rental side like she was during the pandemic. So you actually told me this, and I think it's the coolest thing. First of all, what's your opinion on this article? And like, how can people, as a developer, because you're an experienced developer, how can people avoid falling into that trap of buying something that won't get complete? There's risks in everything, but how can they best minimize their risk when they're buying a pre-sale building?
Okay, so I've got two approaches on this. I've got the approach from the foreign investor, because I'm a foreign investor myself, and I've also got the developer approach. Now, it's the first thing I say, I feel incredibly sorry for the people that do get screwed here. It's a really sad reality that people do lose their money, but it's happening everywhere in the world. It's one of my partners on one of my companies. He lost money on a development in Liverpool in England. So it's in the same sort of scenario to the Bloomberg sort of development. So it does happen everywhere. We're more in the limelight here. First of all, that's something that should be noted. And we're a smaller place, therefore, when it does happen, it's noted. We're very much in the limelight, and it's noted by the public very, very quickly. Now, Bloomberg jumped on this documentary. Now, for me, I can pull this documentary apart.
Right.
And the
Please
reason
do.
I can pull it, the reason I can pull it apart is due diligence. Who was this woman's lawyer? Really?
It's true.
I mean, if it was just about the ROI, okay, we're in a low market right now. The world, unfortunately, if America catches cold or Canada catches a cold and Mexico catches a flu a little bit, that's just how it is. We
Agreed.
rely heavily on the tourism of those two countries, as you would, So yes, and there has been a lot of building when you go through a growing city. The stages you'll get too much on the market and then not enough on the market, too much on the market, not, and that's natural when it's growing. But
Agreed.
whoever was this lady's lawyer, you got to ask the questions, because not doing the due diligence into just simply owning the land, who owns the land, to me is wild. How did it get that
Right.
far? How did that slip through the cracks that they did not They did not actually physically own the land it was built on. And number two, and this is a lot of people fall into this trap, and that's funding. And being open and honest, I have worked on pre-sale previously, but my projects sold, so I got lucky, and it didn't drop into a bad time. People working on the pre-sale model now need to have full funding. If they don't have full funding behind them, and it's a condo development, they're always going to ask for trouble, because the minute they engage in a contract, accept a sale, accept that money, and then start using that money to build,
Right.
they're liable to get the whole building built in their timescales. Now, if the rest
Right.
of the building doesn't sell, or at least 60% of it, they're not going to finish. It's really
Right.
that simple. So if I'm an investor, I'd be asking those questions. I'd be asking, do you own the land? And which sounds almost bizarre.
Right.
Do you own the land? Are you fully licensed?
Right.
And where's your backup funding?
Okay.
It is okay to build from pre-sale, but you need backup funding, especially if you sign into an agreement. You need to be able to achieve that agreement.
Right. So there's two questions. The big takeaway is when you're purchasing here, have your lawyer or whatever, your legal representative. There's two main questions you need to ask to really mitigate any sort of risk is one, do the developers actually own the land that they're selling to you? And two, do they have funding or at least backup funding to fund the project to build it to completion? Correct?
Exactly that. Exactly
And
that. And use the community as well. Ask around. Make sure they're
right.
a reputable developer. Make sure they've been here a while. There is developers here, like there is everywhere in the world, that buy a piece of land. They might be over in Russia
Canada.
and Canada, and they've never visited. They just bought the
Right.
land, and they're trying to employ people from far. That will never work.
Right.
So you just need to do your due diligence. Do
Yeah.
personal due diligence, not just lawyers' due diligence. Start asking around. There's a great community here, a great
I
community
agree.
that don't want to see investors getting screwed everywhere. So we want to
I,
have a good reputation because it affects all of our businesses.
I agree. I think it's weird because and I see this a lot on my side as like the real estate side. It's like when people are buying in Tulum for whatever reason, when they buy here, they do like zero due diligence and they just expect everything's going to be good to go, which is strange. But when they buy in Canada or the US, it's like they do all these steps of due diligence. It's crazy. They run numbers, they do all these things, but here they just buy based off of like price alone and expect it to be a-okay. It's like, you still have to do due diligence just like as if you're buying anywhere in the world. And then the second part to that, before we move on, is the ROI numbers. I think people, I see complain online, or the Bloomberg article talks about how the ROI was much higher during the pandemic, obviously, and now maybe there's due to like maybe oversaturation or due to whatever reasons, people leaving, the ROI is less. It's like, what's your take on that? Because for me, I mean, they were on a rocket ship, and a lot of people made a lot of money in Tulum, and they still complain. It's like it's really unrealistic to expect $100 to $200,000 purchase to make you rich in terms of real estate.
Yeah, it's the age old story of people, that expectation. There was a time when Tulum was there was just simply wasn't enough on the market. You could not fail as a developer. You could not fail on the rentals because there was more people visiting, and there wasn't enough properties here. So it's really that simple. Now, obviously, because it's a growing city, and we're in a market where there's been an awful lot of building. People say overbuilding. Yeah, there's a lot of crap buildings out there because you're going to get that anyway. But it's not overbuilding because we're gonna
I
go through
agree.
this new a stage again when there's not enough on the market. But
Exactly.
because of this stage where we're at now, which is super important to know, we're at a stage where I believe we're coming out of now, where there was too much on the market. All the developers have stopped building those studios. They've stopped because they don't sell. So guess
Right.
what's going to happen? It's going to flip again. So we
I
just
agree.
have to wait. Will it be as good as before? Who knows? We need a lot more people to come.
Of course.
The new infrastructure and stuff that Tulum has, the airport, the train, etc. We are expecting a big influx of people. The infrastructure is improving day by day. We're seeing changes here. It is slower than other cities. It's Mexico. Things do get done, but they do get done a little bit slower. And we're growing. I mean, it's having a positive light on it. I do believe we're going to switch round again. I do believe we're going to see those ROIs again. But when they flip again, make hay while the sun's shining. That's
Yeah,
probably the moral of the story here. Is
I
it
agree.
just make
It's the
and
same
then
in Canada.
don't be disappointed when you have a couple of years where it goes a little bit sour. That is
I know. I
property
agree.
market investing. Yeah.
It's true. It's the same in Canada. Like, look, we're seeing a down market in Canada. We're seeing down markets in Miami, Austin, Texas, LA, all over Phoenix, actually. And then when it happens here, people are like, oh, it's Mexico. It's like, well, it's also happening in your own backyard. It's just because it's Mexico, it's easy to like poke fun at. But on
Mm.
that, okay, where because well, both of us obviously are super like we bullish and we believe in the future of Tulum. Where do you see Tulum in the next like 3 to 5 years?
Okay, yeah, Tulum's at a crossroads. There's no getting away from that. It's going to evolve into something uniquely its own. This is what I'm excited about. Some people are saying, is it going to go along the Miami route? Is it going to go along
Yeah,
a different route? You know, you do have that Miami-esque crowd coming. Is it going to
right.
go? I think it's going to be a bit of a hybrid, and that's what's going to keep the Tulum magic.
I
I
think so.
think the developers that are sticking with the Tulum style, I think they're going to be incredibly successful. I think they're because I really feel that that magic will still be here. Will there be when you're tripling the size of a city or quadrupling the size of a city, you're going to get all walks of life. Period.
Of course.
But I do really believe with this whole conscious living, the style of the buildings, the type of people that arrive to Tulum it's a certain breed, and it's attracting from all over the world now.
I agree. Yeah, no, I think you know what's crazy. I remember because we'll talk about this in a minute. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but the cool thing was Tulum was kind of known for like a party city, you know, and it still does have that aspect to it a little bit, but it's changing so fast. Like, there's a lot of families here, and I'll touch on it later with you because I know you have a daughter and another one on the way. So it's like there are a lot of families here, and it's a livable city for people with families for a lot of reasons. But okay, I agree. I think Tulum, where I see it the next 3 to 5 years, I think it's going to be because right now what's happening is a lot of people are unhappy in the United States. A lot of people are unhappy in Canada. A lot of Canadians are selling real estate in places where they used to travel as snowbirds. Like a lot of Canadians are getting out of Florida. They're coming. They can't afford LA. LA is too expensive. They can't afford Costa Rica, right? And even the Americans that are maybe East Coast American, New York, with Chicago, they own property in Florida, Miami, but they're also pulling out because of different reasons. And what's next is Mexico, honestly. So I think in the next 3 to 5 years, Tulum is going to be a genuine like worldwide destination. It's just going to take time to get there. And I love when people talk poorly about Tulum because it's like it's going to change. It just takes time. You can't snap your fingers and be done. And I think you own a restaurant also, so maybe you can talk about this. But I think Tulum is kind of heading in towards like a foodie destination a little bit.
Yeah, I mean it's community based design. That's what Tulum is. You know, it's not just about coming here to sleep, eat, and drink. It's all about connection, the co working spaces.
For sure.
There's so many wellness hubs. I'm excited to actually start to bring things in like kids play zones and stuff as we start to see more families. There is so much opportunity here that we go to another city and we just take for granted.
Yeah.
It's something that I'm actually looking into, just a kids play zone. You
Right.
know, we've got a
True.
lot of parks and stuff like that, but you mentioned a soft play. We don't have anything like that. All
Right.
this sort of stuff will be coming, and it would just be the infrastructure would just be there for a bit more for families. My family lives here, and we love it. We love it. You have to search it. You have to dig a little bit. You can't
Right.
be as lazy as just going, "Oh, we're going to the mall and everything's there."
Right.
You have to travel around a little bit, but it's a small place,
I agree.
and everyone here is it's just a different type of people. You know, everyone's used to this sort of lifestyle. It's a little bit slower, and it's a nicer place to be. And as I say, the wellness community's wonderful. The party community is great, but it's I see Tulum going more along the wellness, the like I say, the community based design, community driven projects. There's a lot of that coming through.
I think like the community here is very special. Like you said, I had two friends, actually three friends from Canada, all females, all single female travelers coming to Tulum. One had lived in Colombia for the previous winter, came here, and she was like, honestly, it's the community that holds you here because everyone is so the friend groups grow like every day, which is someone comes here and everyone's like, oh, you're not from here? Well, do you want to come hang out with us? Do you want to go for dinner? Do you want to like the community here is so welcoming and everyone's so friendly. It's really like a huge part of it. And yeah, I could talk about that forever, but I won't. But okay, I want to dive into like the ROI just a bit for the investors. Not necessarily the numbers because I'm kind of curious more so along the lines of like you did mention there's a lot of building happening, but I think what you could probably touch on the best is that like maybe it's not the highest quality building. Maybe there's not so much of that, but are short-term rentals still a thing? Are we still seeing people come and being successful at Airbnb?
100% we are.
Yeah,
100%. So it's all to do with how you manage your property.
right,
Period. That's it.
great.
There's a lot of people that arrive. They spend $150,000 on a unit. They don't know how to manage it. They don't know how to do it. They gave it to. I always kind of joke about this, but it's when you're on the when you're investing in the stock market, you get yourself a someone that you can work with. You interview them. You check that they're someone who's good
Yeah,
at trading.
it's true.
Here you spend 150 to $1 million and then give it to some kid from Playa del Carmen to look after.
So true.
It just makes no sense. If you're not in the industry, find someone who really is. Get a
Yeah,
good property manager, interview them properly, understand what they've previously done. It's the same as when you're buying. Understand what you're buying, and the same when it comes to the rentals. Make sure see the track record, see what they're doing.
so
There are a
true.
lot of companies out there that are doing okay. A lot of companies did do very well in from 2019 to 2021. So they do have a good reputation because of that time, but they're struggling now. So it is a little bit more challenging than just simply finding out if they own the land.
Right, right.
It's but if you get the correct property manager or you manage it yourself and you know how to
Yeah,
manage it,
agreed.
my advice to anyone is just the ROIs are there. Just know how to manage your property. Know how and if you don't know 100% how to manage a property, know how to manage the manager.
Big time.
That's it. Don't just uh throw it to someone and hope it's going to work, because it won't.
It's so true. Like I make this a comment a lot to people. It's when you're getting into an Airbnb unit, whether it's in Tulum, Miami, Austin, Texas, anywhere in Florida, whatever, you're getting into hospitality, and it's like I see people make the mistake of, like you said, they buy their unit for 200-300K, which is a lot of money. They go and they hire some subpar property manager that was just the first person on Google, no interview, whatever. And then they go to find, and they don't want to spend any more money, so they don't spend anything on furniture or photos. So it's like you have a great property with a subpar property manager, subpar furniture, subpar photos, and no video. And it's like you just expect it to do well. It's never going to happen in any market, anywhere globally ever. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
you're
I
in,
mean, I think a big part of it was from, let's say, from 2019 to
right,
2021. They were doing well, even
right.
if you didn't care. It was a good. So it's almost like we've been spoiled, so
Yeah,
we weren't in
true.
a reality, right? So we're in a reality. It is our reality that we're the same as everywhere else in the world, right?
Right.
There is great opportunity here if it's managed correctly. Period. That's it.
I
So
agree.
my direct answer about ROI, short term rentals, that model, I think managed correctly, there's no reason why you can't get your 8 to 10% if you manage it correctly,
I agree.
and then just hope for the good times.
It's true.
Like all of us, we're market dependent. This is real estate.
That's right. No, you're 100% right. Okay, I want to talk about like who's buying in Tulum, because on other episodes we've talked about like investing all over the world. Really, we talk about investing in like Europe and different spots around the world, really. And it's like who's buying in Tulum? Like who do you see? For me, it's like I deal with mostly Canadians, Americans, and like the odd European. Is that kind of what you're seeing as well? Or
In the early days when I was here, it was very much digital nomads, the short term flippers.
yeah,
Now we're starting to see like more families, wellness
yeah,
entrepreneurs.
right,
But there's a lot of people that are actually looking to live here full time as well. There's a lot of relocation, as I say, because the city is expanding. So we are starting to see that. Um, Tulum is unique. It offers something completely different from Playa del Carmen
yeah,
and Cancun, and it attracts a completely unique crowd. As of
big time
demographic, obviously Americans, just by pure volume, are always still going to be our number one market,
for sure.
and then Canadians second to that because of proximity and ease of travel. But the
Right,
European market is very much emerging and coming here a lot at the moment, and we're seeing in the hotel in particular, we're seeing guests coming in from a lot of guests from India, a lot from Dubai. So it's very
crazy,
interesting. This year has been a very interesting year. We've even had people in from Japan, quite a few as well. Yeah, apparently Khan is a little bit famous over in Japan. I don't know how.
crazy.
It's amazing what social media does. Maybe someone Japanese stayed here. The last Japanese is a Japanese lady I spoke to. She said, "Oh yeah, Khan. Everyone knows Khan in Japan." And
Cool.
do we? We never advertised there.
No, it's true. We saw the girl. I saw a girl at Tulum. Well, we saw a guy today who was from LA, living here full time, moving
Mm.
here, relocated here. I saw another girl at Tulum Fight Club when we were boxing, who was from Japan, moved here, which is really cool. But yeah, I think you mentioned something about Playa del Carmen and Cancun, and I think you're right. They're all great individual cities. So a lot of people ask me like, where should I invest? You know, should I invest in Tulum or Playa del Carmen or Cancun? And it's like, it's more personal preference of what you like, and it's they all offer different things. I think Tulum is just so unique, and I think it attracts such a unique like person. You either come here and you love Tulum and you're a diehard Tulum fan, or like you like Playa del Carmen. But I mean, there's pros and cons to both, I guess.
And then there's the other people, and this is quite interesting. When I first built Khan, being into sustainability and everything, I wanted to attract a certain crowd, and then I realized that that crowd is like it's like the same people each time, you know.
Right,
And they don't need educated in this. They don't need to see
right,
the good stuff that we should be doing. So I then realised that it would be really nice to attract the people, the big city dwellers that don't necessarily know anything about sustainability, don't really, because it's not in their face. I didn't until I arrived here. I was living in London, and I didn't have really any impact in the sustainable sort of world at all.
right.
So what I am seeing actually is people arriving here. They might come on vacation and they see something else. So it isn't it, although it is a certain type of people, there's a lot of people that arrive and change into that
Right.
person, which is
Cool.
and that's not just the people going out buying a hat and a cape and
Yeah,
turning full to Illuminati. That happens too. I mean, I did that and I've never left it, but
I
it's
get it.
but I'm a veteran at that, so I'm allowed.
That's right. You're an
Yeah.
OG. Um, cool. What because we've talked about like who's buying here, families are coming here. Does that change? Like, does that change what type of properties are you're seeing more success with? Like, what type of properties right now? I mean, this I think it's kind of hard to like paint it all with the same brush. But is there a specific property type that is maybe performing better than others, or like maybe more desirable to an extent with certain things?
There's some great properties here. There's no two ways about it, and some do outperform others. I still put it down to management.
Yeah.
It's always management, and it's the most challenging thing because of the new licensing laws, the poor management companies out there. What I've done with my properties is turn them into this particular one is a condo hotel that's run as a hotel, and then it doesn't compete in the market of Airbnb essentially. So
Right.
it's. What are the correct type of properties? What are the properties that we're seeing are doing well at the moment? Villas seem to do very well. Not your $500,000 villa. Kind of if you're getting into the million mark, those guys are doing well because of the type
Yeah.
of clientele that are coming.
Yeah.
And they I don't believe they're going to be touched because there's not enough of them on the market. That's a
Agree.
reality. Studios are crashing and falling at the moment because there were so many built. Little story: there was not one studio on the market when I designed Khan. Not one.
That's
So
crazy.
when I first designed the first phase of Khan, there was not one studio available. That's
Crazy
why I decided to do studios here. Studios struggle. We don't necessarily struggle here, because of the management.
management.
Even in bad times, it completely breaks even, which is in rough times, breaking even's a win.
I think it's cool for you. I think like what a good takeaway for people is that like we keep mentioning management. It's so important. Like for example, Can does well because it's managed by one company, correct? You, right?
Yes.
Can is always throwing events, encouraging high occupancy rates. Every day you go to Can, there's something new. There's a restaurant on site. There's a cafe on site. There's lots to do for kids. There's lots to do for families. There's always events. And when there's more events at a certain place, obviously that increases occupancy. So there's like one thing I wanted to mention and to like recap that is because a lot of realtors say don't buy small units. It's like, well, I do know some small units that actually perform really well. It's not about spending more. It's just about buying the right product that's managed properly, like you said. And it's like Ken does well because Ken is managed properly, and there's lots of things. Imagine a 100-unit building that's all managed by 70 different management companies. It's like everyone's just kind of setting their own little price point, and it's a race to the bottom, right? And there's no community events, whereas Can has community events, which I think is really, really cool. But there's lots of great units. It just depends on who manages your unit. I agree 100%.
It does. And you mentioned a few really important points there, but it's management, it's amenities. You know, the amenities are so important for people, how they're managed. And the other thing that I want to brush on actually is so many investors come here and expect they're going to buy a property and then it's going to make a ton of money in the first year, like any property or any business, because essentially it's a business. You're in the
For
hospitality
sure.
business, right?
100%.
What do you normally do? You normally look and say, okay, 5 years until a business starts to really start to perform, you
Right.
know, and that's the one advantage I've got of Khan right now, because we've been around a while, and we're now, yeah, we had the rush in 2019 and to 2021, as I say, but now and then we went into the development stage. Everything slowed down because we built phase two and the restaurant and stuff. And but now we're starting, because of the reputation, because of the good reviews, because it's a build up, it's a process, and that goes for anyone, even with a studio unit. And they're putting it onto Airbnb. It's a process. Don't expect to throw it on and make loads of money overnight. You have to become reputable. You have to have create good service, and because there's a lot on the market that you're up against, and yeah, it's
I
really
agree.
as simple as that. Manage it correctly, and have realistic expectations on this. That's
For
probably
sure.
my advice.
I think the one thing you mentioned that I forgot to talk about was like that the luxury properties are doing decently well, and it's interesting because the luxury properties do well across, like it's because I've been doing this podcast and like analyzing different markets around the entire world. We see the same trends everywhere, and the one trend that we see often is that the luxury market always seems to like kind of hold steady. But it's because I think the type of person that's able to afford $1 million, villa cash means they have $1 million liquid available. They're usually a very high net worth individual, and the higher net worth individuals are less affected by like the day to day stuff. Whereas, and when I say day to day, I mean like tariffs and elections and all those kind of things, seasons, trends, whatever. The more, I'll say, average investor or a first time investor, someone that's buying their first maybe international property, they're significantly more affected by all these things I just talked about. So it's like that market wavers so much more than the luxury market because those people are just a little bit less affected. Okay, I want to talk about safety only because I hate talking about this, but it's probably the second most thing that I get asked on my Instagram or TikTok or Instagram, whatever.
It's completely normal because Mexico's been completely demonized, and yeah, go on, go
Like
for
you
it.
have a kid, you have a little daughter, and you live here
I
willingly.
won't walk. I won't walk around London, Toronto, New York. I won't walk around them at night. Here, I walk around them with my 4-year-old without even thinking about it. 3, 4 in the morning, I would, no problem.
Yeah,
I've never seen an issue of someone getting mugged. I've
yeah,
never seen an issue of anyone being approached in a bad manner. Yes, I've heard of problems and people being shot, not tourists.
yeah.
Okay. There was a few years ago there was a shooting which was a problem, but and obviously we had the chief of police killed recently, which we'll brush on in a second because it's really important we brush on that. And then the one that went viral, the guy in Starbucks, and we can where that was
I didn't see
killed in
that one.
Starbucks. No, he was shot in broad daylight in Starbucks, and they said the media claimed that they were trying to steal his watch. If you watched the security cameras, the guy who was sat there had an armed bodyguard with him who rolled on the side and started shooting back. You're in the business. You're
Yeah,
in the game. You don't go around with an armed bodyguard here unless you're in some sort of business. Simple as
for
that.
sure. For sure.
Number one. Number two, every time there is something that happens here, it's always away from the public eye. Very rare is it in the public eye. And we hear a rumor that there was a body found or there's something happening. And I always think maybe it is getting a bit sketchy. Maybe there is something bad
I know,
happening. And then to make myself feel better, I just Google shootings in Chicago today, or shootings in New York today, or shootings in Toronto. It's crazy,
for
and
sure.
it will blow your mind. It completely blows them out the water. Now, I want to touch on the chief of police being shot, and there is certainly some sort of corruption involved there. But the same day he was shot, there was some like highly graded police officer in California that was also killed. I'll send you the article. Actually, he was killed on a drug raid. It happens.
Yeah,
It happens. It's unfortunate.
of
Do
course.
we know the real reasons why he was shot? No, we don't. Was there some sort of corruption on the back end? We don't know. Will we know? No, we'll never know. But were we all in danger? Okay, I know people. who heard the gunshots that live very close to where it happened, and they've lived in Tulum for years, and they were super scared. What does
Yeah.
that tell you? That it's not a regular occurrence. You
Right.
know, they heard gunshots and it was panic. Everyone around there was panicked,
Right. Right. Right.
because no one's ever got used to it because it doesn't happen. You know,
Right.
I've never seen a problem ever.
I'm the same. I know people that have had their watches stolen in Toronto. I know people that have gotten, robbed. And I had my Range Rover stolen in Toronto. It's like genuinely feels very, very safe here. My fiance walks around with her friends to go to Pilates, whatever. Your wife and my fiance are friends. They go and do their things, and it's never a problem. I don't think she's ever felt unsafe. I think it's true. Like whenever I get, usually it's Americans will bring up the safety in Tulum, and it's like I always see where their number is from. I look up their city, and then I'll just send them a list of like the 10 shootings that happened last night versus the one 3 months ago in Tulum, and it's like, you know what I mean?
I probably shouldn't say this online, but I'm awful at locking my house and my car because I've got
Yeah,
so
yeah,
used to it's never a problem that I just don't lock anything.
I
You
know,
know, I never do.
I know,
Yeah. So, but so. How do I feel about
I know.
safety? Safer than anywhere I've ever lived, and I've lived in many places in the world.
I've left my keys in my front door, like in outside in the door lock, like left them there overnight multiple times, and never an issue, which is
I
crazy.
just feel like the problems here are really petty. You know, our boxing club the other day is like petty crime.
Right.
The guy climbs over a boxing club, leaves his croc behind, steals some boxing shoes and a speaker. You know, it's that sort of
True.
crime. It doesn't feel like it's that deep. You know, yes, is there a drug problem here? Is the cartel problem in high season? And guess why? Because of all the tourists coming in trying to buy them. Of course, drug dealers will come from all over the world because it's high season.
True.
You know,
True.
I heard last year there was Venezuelan, Colombian cartels and all sorts. You know, it wasn't just
Yeah.
Mexican cartels selling drugs. It was they're coming from everywhere because it turns into a party zone. That
Right.
happens that happens absolutely everywhere.
It's
You
true.
know, so yeah. Oh, there's drugs. People offering drugs. Stop buying them.
Right. It's true.
Really, that's it. It's sale and demand. It's like any business. You know.
What about okay, I want to touch on just one thing because I know funny enough a lot of my clients are looking to retire, moving to Tulum, and they either have kids themselves that are maybe a little bit older, or more importantly, they have grandkids, that they want to bring to their villa, their condo, whatever, and they're wondering about, what it's like having kids here. What are some things that kids can do? Because I know you mentioned as of right now there's maybe not that much, but like you have a daughter here. What's like what are like the schools like? What's healthcare like? Someone that like what advice would you give someone that has a family that would be relocating to Tulum? What's some like little
Well,
tips and tricks?
first of all, for me, it's you know, my daughter grows up kind of barefoot.
Yeah,
She's 4 years old. She speaks two languages. You know,
crazy.
she's playing in cenotes and on the beach rather than on an iPad every day. You know,
True.
that's it. You know, so how is it for families, young families that are growing? I think it's one of the best places in the world. I'm a big advocate for it because I'm doing it, and this is where I'm choosing to bring my children up for these reasons. And
Agree.
I see friends, family, children. You know, the iPad's become a normal thing. We've never bought an iPad for my daughter. We don't. And I'm not anti-screens in any way. You know, I'm not that guy that's like, oh, you can't watch a screen. Don't watch. You can't watch it. I'm not that guy. And
Right.
we're not. We don't bring our daughter up in that way. We live very freely. To okay, if she wants to watch a movie, she can watch a movie. It it's certainly not a thing in her life where she's like, ah, she needs to have a screen. So to me,
Right.
that's a huge thing because I see other places.
He's very happy. Just so everybody knows, this kid is like, she's just the happiest kid. Obviously, life and what kid wouldn't like life on the every weekend? She's at the beach. Like it's just amazing. But sorry, go on.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing to think about people thinking about relocating here, know that you'll find your tribe. That's a really important thing. You
Yeah,
know, there is several different groups. You'll find your people.
for sure.
There's incredible alternative schools. So I'm not so keen on a couple of the schools. There is schools that are being built now. There's a German school in Bay of Principe, which is what Tulum Country Club as it's now called, which has just done really well in the Real Madrid Cup. That is with soccer. So there's a good sports programs. It's all kind of emerging now, and it's coming up. Nature-based curriculums, which I'm all about. I love them. I think they're fantastic. A lot of
Super
conscious
cool.
parents.
Cool.
Yeah, Tulum's a lifestyle. It really is, and it's a choice to adapt to that lifestyle. It will become incredibly healthy for anyone choosing to do it as well.
Cool. Before I want to hear more about, I know you have some big things coming up, and I'm super excited about it on the real estate side. This means I get to sell some really cool stuff coming up here. And tell me a little bit about like what you're doing over the next couple years here. What are some big projects you have coming up that people can look forward to, and like what to look out for that you're developing? Because I think after this episode, people will maybe gravitate towards seeing what you're doing, because you do really cool things. You build unique, you build sustainable. But tell us a little bit about what Sam's got going on over the next little bit here. Can you hear me? I got out there.
Yeah, you cut out your. I think
Sorry.
we
Okay.
had a little. There you go. There's one of the Tulum issues you might have to deal with sometimes.
My door is closed, so the internet doesn't work apparently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
No, but
think
tell us.
the
Okay,
wind
tell
the
us.
wind blew.
The wind blew the Starlink thing a little bit to the right, so now it doesn't work. But tell me about what you got going on, because I think people will gravitate towards seeing what Can's all about, listening to this and seeing how great of things you're doing. What is Sam focusing on over the next 3 to 5 years that people can look forward to and maybe check out?
Yeah, my market's changing quite a lot. I still have stuff at Khan that's available that I'm working on now, and I plan to grow Khan and expand the brand. I've just launched into a new project called Iktan, initially selling lots, and I've started designing villas for this project. It's located very close to the beach in South Tulum. We've actually just bought SouthTulum.com, which is an interesting move.
Cool.
It's South Tulum is kind of a market of all the high-end hotels created this area, and it's just created by them, and then they've named themselves South Tulum, and it's what's behind the beach road. So the behind the beach road, we in South Tulum we have a project called
Cool.
Iktan, 98 lots, great amenities, most beautiful cenotes. And I'll be designing and building villas in there. There's some other projects that I'm working on as well.
That location you're
Yeah,
talking about, sorry, the what's that location called so people can look it up on a map?
the location itself is actually called Soy Tulum. However, it's such a new area. I don't know what maps you'll find Soy Tulum on. But if you're to look up ictantulum.com, you'll see exactly where the area is. Or the Owen, which is a previous project I've worked on and designed stuff in. What else do I have going on? I was approached very recently about a big art collecting company and merging architecture and art together. Something
Cool.
that is I'll be looking to do and pair up with some named artists to create incredible architectural experiences. Other than that, just trying to box against you every morning,
Yeah,
I
I was gonna
guess.
say I fly home
And
this
trying to stay
episode.
alive, I think that is probably the best comment there.
I was gonna say me and Sam, we've known each other for some time. I genuinely think what he's doing is just different, and I like people that do different, and I think it's very noticeable. And when you build high quality in Tulum and you have all the right recipes, build high quality, build unique, and have good management, it's like really just such a good investment. I know you got some really cool projects on the go coming up, which I'm super excited for. But yeah, and then we box together every morning, and Sam was a very strong man. Let's put it that way. So my nose, I think, is crooked now, thanks to you from this morning. But
Yeah. I don't
it's
think I
good.
have any ribs left after this morning, but we don't need to go into that.
But yeah, I look, man. I appreciate you coming on here. Honestly, if anyone's listening and you're thinking about coming to Tulum, you got to check out Can Hotel. Like I'm telling you, just look it up on Google. You'll see why you'd want to stay there. Really, really cool. And if you have any questions, Sam, where can people find you? Maybe to like reach out on social media.
Sustainable Sam 7. That's my personal social media, and then Khan Tulum. Yeah, as I say, it's an honour to have any of Dave's guests come and see us. Come and stay with us, especially if Dave is touring you, even if it's on another product. You're more than welcome to come and be with us here. So that's
Cool. I appreciate it, man. So thanks for listening, everybody. I appreciate it. If you like what you're listening to, hit the subscribe button, follow us on social media, send it to your friends. And if you're a real estate developer for somewhere in the world and you want to jump on the podcast, we'd love to talk to you. Send it to your mom, send it to your friends. Help spread the show. We appreciate it. And thanks, Sam, for having us. Let me interview you here. And I'll probably see you. I'll see you tonight, actually.
Yeah, well, what great questions as well. So I've done a lot of these, and this is particularly good. So thank you, Dave. Yeah,
Thanks, brother. Okay, see you.
just take care. Bye.